Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news and THru HIker update. So if you've come here to find out what's going on the Appalachian Trail, what's going on with the THru HIkers, you've come to the right place. Normally, I just go right into what's going on with the THru HIkers, but we had a few kind of depressing information to get to you, and I want to go ahead and get that out of the way so that we could get on to the happy stuff. So we had a few folks that passed away over the past, since our last update that we didn't mention. Of course, we had lost Faceplant a couple weeks ago, and I've also found out that we have lost another THru HIker, Benjamin Barrio. He was a THru HIker. He died on June 16th. I don't have where he died. He was somewhere around the age of 34. I don't exactly know where he passed away, but in any case, he has passed away. And then we also had a hiker that passed away at the Dole in Duncannon. He was apparently passed away peacefully in his sleep from an aneurysm, and that was a few weeks ago. And then one of the biggest trail angels out there, and that's Odie. His sister Dana was killed in a bus accident. She was participating with a camp there, and their bus that they were traveling in apparently was in an accident. There were several other people killed, but she was killed in that on June 19th, and she was actually, Odie and his family buried her today. So Odie had also, just hours before his sister's death, had lost his grandfather. And of course, Odie also, you may not know, but Odie had a fire that destroyed pretty much everything he had at his house, and also lost a lot of the data for his hiker yearbook. So Odie's one of the quintessential biggest trail angels that there is out there. He's also the creator and author of the hiker yearbook for the THru HIkers each year. But he's also probably the most well-known trail angel out there. He spends most of the year up and down the trail helping people out. And our thoughts and prayers go out to you, Odie, out there. They have started a fund for the camp that she was a participant or working with, an associated with there. I'm not exactly sure what her position was, but in any case, she was associated with them. They have started a GoFundMe for that you can give there in her honor. So if you, for each of those, for Odie and for the other two hikers families out there, I ask if you pray for them, and whatever you do, send them good vibes, but in any case, let them know that you are praying for them and thinking of them. And so what's going on with the THru HIkers? Well, Funkster and Sherry, they are somewhere around the Parisburg area. The Hurries, they are happy to be home in Vermont. So they indicated that the bugs around Vermont were a little buggy, but they were manageable. They said that they, coming out of New York and Massachusetts, they had been wearing head nets there. However, once they got into Vermont, that was not necessary. They also said that the water sources there in New York and Massachusetts and Vermont are pretty much what the comments say they are on Guthooks. So Guthooks, of course, is an app. So if you're out there, you have somebody out there, check those water source comments out, but also you leave a comment so you can keep hikers coming behind you updated. Huck, he has made it past the halfway point and somewhere around Duncannon now, and he is meeting up with some of his family in the area, and they are going to be doing some trail magic out there. He also indicated that the storms that had came through the area earlier in the week around the Pennsylvania-Maryland border there, he indicated that they had a lot of trees that had come down, said the trail was covered, very difficult to navigate, with about 2 dozen or more blowdowns that they had to crawl over or go around or bushwhack. He said that once you get a little past the Old Forge Park, it gets better, but that area just before that, there was massive damage through there. So hopefully the trail maintainers that maintain that area, if you're listening to that, you'll be aware of that if you're not already aware of it. Guido, he is in New Jersey, and he has taken a couple days and going to be somewhere south of Branchville. Said he saw his first bear on the trail around the Eckville shelter, that it stood right up on the trail about 50 yards, no, he said 50 feet from him. And then after a few seconds, it ran off, but it didn't go very far, because when he continued hiking, that he could still see it out there. So folks, just be aware, we're right in the middle of bear season, and I've been giving plenty of bear updates. Of course, there's other updates out there on different social media and on the ATC site. So just keep that in mind. Be sure you're doing the proper thing by hanging your food bags and even your packs and stuff if you can, to prevent bears from getting habituated. Sev, he spent the couple nights in the huts there in the White Mountains, particularly at the Lake of the Clouds is one of them. He stays there, and he's also with Traveling Beat, and he indicated, of course, that he had to pay because they're not doing work for stay this year, but they are over Mount Washington and through the presidential, so congratulations to them. They're somewhere around the Gorham, New Hampshire area. The Vintage Hikers, they have come through the Pine Swamp Brook Shelter, and they said the caterpillars are everywhere around there, and the woods have been decimated by them, and they're hoping to be somewhere around Salisbury within the next few days or so. Drifters on the trail, they will be out of Massachusetts and into Vermont in the next day or so. Goob has entered the Shanties, and he has passed the 900-mile mark, and he indicated that word from a Park Service ridge runner was that the only wayside that was open for milkshakes, and I guess the grill, was the Elk Wallow wayside. The rest of them have been closed for remodeling, so I don't know why you would close all of them at one time in the middle of hiker season, but in any case, they have, is what his information is. But he did say the camp stores are open for resupply through there, although the resupply is pretty expensive through there. So Sloth is flipping up north, and she is joining She's the One. They're going to be staying at the Notch Hostel, and then they're going to be moving on into New Hampshire. They were hiking together down in Georgia and the Smokies and the Shanties, and Sloth got a little behind She's the One, decided she wanted to catch up to her, and they're going to summit together, and then Sloth's going to come back down and finish the section that she had to flip up around and that she missed. So that's pretty cool to see the people doing that. Shoes is close to Glasgow, Virginia, and is home in Kentucky right now. Shoes, he's had a injury to his feet, and of course Shoes is hiking barefoot throughout the trail this year, and so he hurt his foot, tried to rehab it a couple times, and he just, since he's near home now, he's going to go ahead and get off for just a few short days. Going to be back on July 6th when he'll be getting back, and then he's going to flip up to Katahdin and then do the rest of his hike solo. Shows passing through Duncannon. Yak is around Delville and has passed Rockfish Gap there at mile 864 and should be in the Shanties by now. Says the trail has been great, and he has had no issues with water for the past 135 miles below the Shanties. Tex has made it home to New York. So Tex doesn't live in Texas. Tex lives in New York, but she's made it home to her home turf, and she said that the heat index there is 104 degrees in New York. So folks, be bringing plenty of water out there with you and finding water sources. Skidmark had his wife and daughter come out. They did some hiking with him through the Shanties, and they're somewhere around Duncannon now. The Bacos, they have started New Jersey. Mad Rat, Shuttle, Mohawk Will, Mohawk's brother Ben, Mustache Will, and Nacho have all made it to Waynesboro, and they're going to be in Harpers Ferry on the 4th. Runway is somewhere around Kent, Connecticut, and she had fun with Tex and Silly Bands, and she's beginning to see a lot of new hikers out there, so she thinks the bubble has caught up with her a lot. She says she's seeing lots of flip-floppers. Two Knees has made it to Harpers Ferry and is hiking with GW, Doctor Who, and Quilt. Keith, Roll Tide, Shelley, and Yogi are around northern Connecticut, and they had to take a few months off for some health issues, but they are back on trail now. Luscious is hiking with Nate and his dog Moya, and Tupac and her dog Buck, and Flip and Birdie, and they are somewhere north of Glasgow, plan to be in Waynesboro in a few days. Captain America and Rapture have made it through the presidentials. They've been battling bug bites and some injuries, but they are sucking it up and driving on. Buttercup has finished Massachusetts. The Blazing Bakers are back on the trail. So you'll recall that Gazelle had broke her arm in a injury, a fall on the trail, and got off there to Kiefer Oak, and she has had surgery. I think she had 2 surgeries on it, rehabbed it, and she's already back on trail. So I don't think she was off, but I think she's off less than 2 months and had all of that done. So they are back on there at the Kiefer Oak, and they are boots north. Papa Groot, he is almost to the midpoint. Massacus and Tasty Taters, they have crossed the 3,000-mile mark on their since Key West. So they're hiking the Eastern Continental Trail that runs from Key West all the way up into Canada. They've also crossed the Mason-Dixon line and should be reaching Boiling Springs any day. Mike and Kathy, they have made it to Massachusetts. Don on the AT, he flipped up from the Mount Rogers, Pearisburg area to Katahdin, and he'll be Sobo back to that area. And Crusoe is past the 1,400-mile mark. So congratulations to all those folks. Every one of those sent me their updates. I'm grateful for you doing that. If you're a THru hiker and you didn't send me your update, or I missed you for some reason, and you want to be on the update each week, then be sure and send that to me on Friday or Saturday. Works best for me. I'll be glad to get you on and give you a shout out there each week. So a couple folks got off the trail. Crinkles is off the trail for a couple weeks in New Jersey. His daughter's getting married in Greece, so of course he had to go take care of business with that, and then he'll be back on sometime in August. And Susan Camphor Reed is off at Harpers Ferry. She just decided that she was felt like her hike was complete, and so she's not going to be coming back. So we had a few summits over the past week or so. Not so much. He summited on the 24th, and his wife and youngest daughter were up there with him. They climbed Katahdin with him. He said the weather was perfect and the views were incredible. So he was number 19, Nobo number 19, according to the, they give you a summit permit that and they give you a number there, assign you a number for your Nobo. So you have Sobo numbers and Nobo numbers. So he was number 19. Said there was 4 others that summited on that day. He knew 2 of them. One of them was Captain Jack, and CVS did not know the other ones. And then Ultra, she also summited. Mr. Freeze was number 9, and he summited. And then New Hampshire Hiker summited. So those are the folks that we've been tracking, have been sending us the updates that we summited. If you sent me a summit notice, then and I missed you this week, I apologize for that. But if you didn't and you did summit, we want to honor that, whether you have been updating us or not. So send me your summit picture and when you summited, and we'll get you on the next weekly update. So some Trail Angel news that's been going on out there. So I want to thank everybody who responded to my call last week to get together, and people that wanted to do some trail magic with Spineless Cougar. Spineless Cougar lives in Albany, New York, and he has been a trail angel for many years. And his eyesight's gotten so bad he can't drive, and so he was looking for somebody. I put the call out. Numerous people responded. Thank you so much. One of those that responded was Roof Walker, and they have already gotten together and done trail magic, so that is awesome. And Roof Walker said that the trail magic they did, looks like they met around 30 people or more, and he said most of those people were not registered and they did not have social media. So and we knew that, that's typical. Not everybody registers, and certainly not everybody has social media. So some trail news for you. The missing hiker Ray Watson that a lot of y'all contacted me about. Ray has walked out of the woods in Vermont, and Ray's fine, no problems. Ray just did not have self-service where he was at. And then also a THru hiker indicated to me that the caretakers in the Pennsylvania and New York shelters and campsites are pretty upset because their water pumps at those sites that they man have been removed. So we had reported a few weeks ago that the water pumps were pulled by at the ATC's bidding in there. The ATC had known for 5 years that the water pumps are going to have to be, some had to be repaired, and they were also going to have to be start monitoring, but they decided that it would be cost prohibitive, so they were not going to do that. So now there are some problems with the water sources being more spread out up in there. Of course, during drought and during hot seasons like this, the caretakers are concerned because the water caches that are there are not being able to meet the supply demand that the hikers are placing on them. So there's not enough water for them up there, particularly where they're staying. So the removal of those pumps has caused a problem for the caretakers up there. And then the U.S. Forest Service on the Appalachian Trail has put out a notice that the closure will remain in effect for camping between Grassy Fork Road, Nobo Mile 245, and Max Patch Road 253 after they continue to have multiple reports of bear encounters there in the Nantahala and the Pisgah National Forest. So the bears there become habituated because people have left trash, food around at the campsites and at the shelters there, and there's just too many bears that are coming into those areas. So until that calms down some, there's no camping allowed in there. And then that's really all the news I've got. I do have a favor out there. You'll recall that back when COVID first started and the ATC shut down the Harpers Ferry headquarters, they indicated that they would also be doing, they wanted to shut it down because of COVID, but they'd also want to take the chance to do some construction there. So I've not seen any pictures or any really mention since the headquarters opened back up about the construction, and I'd love to see what's been going on up there. So the next hiker that goes through the headquarters up there, if you'd send me a picture of the interior of the new construction they've had, I'll be sure and share that. I'm sure that everybody'd be interested to see what they got accomplished during COVID up there, and hopefully they got some really good things done. Given the amount of time that everything was shut down during COVID. And then, just on a personal note, as I've mentioned to folks, y'all before, that Come Along and I are getting ready to go do our lash, starting in Massachusetts and going all the way up to Rutland. So we'll be on the AT section of the long trail up there, and we'll be starting this Friday on the 2nd, be going all the way through the 10th. So you will not be hearing from me this coming weekend. Continue to send me your updates. I'll continue to correspond with you if I have any type of service while I'm out there. Otherwise, it'll have to be when I get back, but I'll continue to update people the following week. So I'm looking forward to that, and can't wait to get out there. It's been too long, about, I don't know, probably 8 weeks since I've been out on the trail. That is way too long for me, but looking forward to getting out there. Hopefully I'll run into some of y'all out there, run into THru HIkers. Be sure and speak to me. Can't wait to meet you and just talk to people, and just I know that this is a popular time on the long trail out there. If you are in that section or have just gone through there, I'd really like to pick your brain for information. So I'd like to know what the water sources are like, what the bears are like through there, what the shelter and campsite populations are. We're going to have a problem with camping. That is a popular section of the trail, and the bubble is starting to go through that area. So I'd like to know what we're going to be up against when I get there. And so you can send me that information. You can send that to me in a DM, send that to me in an email, and all those links are down below, as is, again, the GoFundMe link for if you want to give in honor of Odies' sister who passed away over this past week or so. Folks, that's all I've got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.